6-month-old typical atypical motor development side by side. In this video, you will see a typically developing baby and an atypically developing baby in 8 different positions. Use this to help recognize early motor delays. Please remember to adjust for prematurity. Position 1. Supine. Presented a toy. The typically developing baby on the left reaches, grasps, transfers, and explores toy in a well-coordinated motion, while the atypically developing baby on the right is visually interested in the toy. He's unable to reach, grasp, or play in this position, as expected at this age. Extremities. Baby on the left is able to symmetrically lift upper and lower extremities against gravity and bring hands to his feet. Atypically developing baby on the right rarely demonstrates anti-gravity movement. Even with assistance, he briefly holds knees towards chest. Body. Baby on the left has increased anti-gravity control of his trunk muscles, while the atypically developing baby has improved ability to hold head and trunk in midline. He has little abdominal activity. Position 2. Sideline. Transition. Watch the typically developing baby visually follow the toy. He reaches, then rolls independently, initiating movement with his lower extremities, while the atypically developing baby visually engages with the toy, but his arms rest in a passive wide abduction position, and shoulder extension prevents rolling. Movement. Notice the typically developing baby chooses not to stay in sideline, as he is too interested in playing. Baby on the right's unbalanced neck, shoulder, and back extension prevents forward movement of the head and arm to assist rolling to his side. Position 3. Prone. Head and arms. See how the typically developing baby on the left is able to be on extended arms, supporting weight while turning head to follow a toy, while the baby on the right has his elbows behind the shoulders, making it very difficult to use upper extremities to assist in head and trunk lifting. Upper extremities. Watch the typically developing baby show emerging upper extremity control and weight shifting for reaching, grasping, and playing. Notice the baby on the right has decreased upper extremity stability, preventing weight shifts towards the pelvis, which is necessary for freedom of upper extremities. Lower extremities. Pivoting is seen by the typically developing baby. He has increased extension down to the lumbar spine and lower extremities. While baby on the right is doing some lower extremity kicking, he does not possess the stability required for upper extremity play. Play. Observe how the baby on the left participates in varied play schemes of banging, turning, mouthing, transferring, and shows a palmar grasp with increased digital participation. Yet baby on the right is challenged when in the prone position, without adequate stability, unable to use vision or hands to explore the environment. Position 4. Pull to sit. Head. Typically developing baby is actively flexing neck forward and lifting head from support surface to assist in the maneuver, while the atypically developing baby is minimally able to assist in the maneuver. Note his complete head lag until upright and only holds it up briefly in midline. Upper extremities. Baby on the left uses upper extremities and abdominals to assist and show good symmetry throughout the maneuver. For the baby on the right, you do not see him assisting with upper extremity pulling, which is expected by 6 months old. Position 5. Sitting. Head. At 6 months, the typically developing baby has stable head and trunk control with strong extension through the thoracic spine. As we saw at 2 and 4 months, the atypically developing baby is struggling to maintain his head upright and in midline, even when supported. Stability. The typically developing baby is able to reach with one arm at a time. His wide base of support gives him greater stability in his lower extremities. The baby on the right has poor trunk extension and does not have a solid balance of trunk flexor and extensor muscles to stabilize him. Reaching. The typically developing baby on the left is able to lean forward, reach, and then right his trunk over his pelvis to attain the upright sitting posture. Notice how the atypically developing baby must still be supported high in the chest for stability. His upper extremities come down to the sides and reaching is not observed. Position 6. Horizontal suspension. Extension. The typically developing baby now demonstrates full sustained extension in the neck and upper thoracic spine, which continues down through his hips and legs, while the atypically developing baby is only briefly able to lift head symmetrically in midline and extend through the upper thoracic spine and hips. Position 7. Protective extension. Tilting forward. Protective extension is easily and quickly elicited as the typically developing baby brings arms forward. During this move, the atypically developing child does not bring his upper extremities forward to the surface to protect himself. Upper extremity response. Notice the typically developing baby props immediately on one upper extremity and actively reaches for a toy in front of him with the other. For the atypically developing baby, decreased anti-gravity neck and trunk strength makes it hard to sustain head and trunk extension needed for arms to come forward. Position 8. Standing. Head. Typically developing baby is able to turn his head freely and look around. For the atypically developing baby, as we have seen in nearly all the anti-gravity positions, head and trunk control are still a challenge. He lacks necessary anti-gravity control. Alignment. The typically developing baby's hips are still slightly flexed and a bit behind his shoulders. Note his upper extremities are assisting, as evidenced by the strong upper thoracic extension. Atypically developing baby is unable to align his head, trunk, hips, knees, and feet in the vertical. Weight bearing. Watch how the typically developing baby on the left demonstrates sustained weight bearing on extended lower extremities. Atypically developing baby on the right does not initiate or sustain weight bearing, which makes it impossible to develop control in standing.